Hey, what's going on YouTube? Just finished up over on Twitch for new content night, and there's not a ton of it to do, so what we did part of the night was figuring out how to do Arid Assault with kind of a budget team, because the first time I went through, it went really well, and I killed it on turn 3, not even trying that hard. And so we wanted to do kind of a fun, strong but not overpowered clear, and then also kind of a budget clear, and I'm going to show you both of those now. So I mentioned on Tuesday, this is a fight against a machine that is weak to water, lightning, and dark, and has 120 resistance to everything else. You can break the boss. There are missions to have no KOs, 5 turns or less, party of 4 or less, and you can do all of that at once. You don't have to, but it's definitely doable. So let's get into the first team we're going to use. Show you the Arid Assault, the hardest difficulty. Oop, I'm out of energy, so let's refill here. There we go. And the first team that we're going to use is the strong team, and that is Balthier, Kaito, Fran, because Balthier is here, and Maeve. Now, what's fun about this for me is that I had not really had a chance to use any of these units. I've just recently gotten Balthier. I got Balthier last week, in fact, when I was pulling for Tsukiko. And then I got another Balthier recently, so now he's got EX1. And then, you know, Fran, why would I bring Fran? Because I didn't have Balthier. Kaito is really the only unit that I've brought to anything. Maeve, I just recently got out of the Obnixis shard shops for the very first time, so kind of excited to bring Maeve. But here's the basic rundown of this fight before we get into anything in terms of gear. So turn 1, the boss is going to do some AoE magic attacks and hit you with some status attacks. So everybody's wearing ribbon or some form of immunity. You could also bring like an immunity item to give everybody immunity to various statuses. You could bring a tank that does that, like Chow, or other units that do that sort of thing. I'm doing it where everyone's just wearing a ribbon. So he's going to do magic attacks and status attacks for 2 turns. And then on the 3rd turn, he's going to do an AoE fire attack that hits really hard if you're not prepared for it. In this clear, we're just going to kill it on turn 3, so it doesn't really matter. And then turns 4 and 5, I assume it continues on, but I didn't honestly go past turn 5, even in my my budgety clear. So I don't really know what happens on turn 5, but at that point, who cares, because you're not getting the turn 5 mission. So yeah, there you have it. Let's take a look at the gear and stuff, and then we'll get into the fight. Balthier in the shift form is geared pretty nicely with a Titus STMR, some LB fill, Tyvus' spirit. Like I said, he does have immunity to some stuff. Determined to beat the Empire. He's got immunities there, and then also his own vision card. In the shift form, he's just geared for damage and absurdity. He gears for machine killer very nicely. We've got some fire immunity, or some fire resistance, because the boss does do some fire attacks on turn 3 I wanted to prepare for, but ends up not needing them. And there's Balthier. Kaito in the shift form, which is where we're going to start, is just wearing his own sword. And then in the base form is geared for damage against machines, LB damage. He's going to do our water imbue. He's going to do our machine killer buff. He's going to be doing lots of good stuff for us. Otherwise, just geared for damage. Has the Chizuru vision card. There we go. Fran's gear does not matter at all. She's wearing a bow. Doesn't really need it. She has Jade Moon Pendant. This is what I was talking about. You could give somebody an immunity item that gives everybody immunity, or just give everybody ribbons. I also geared her with 10,000 needles, which you don't really need. I suppose you could use that on turn 3 if you were not sure if you were going to survive the fire attacks. I don't know if they can be miraged because I haven't tried it yet. I guess that's an option. It does hit more than once though, so I'm guessing that would not really work. And then Calamity Border if you're looking for a way to get fire, a fire buff, but you could also just give her an Esper that has Bar Firega, and she could cast it for you. So she's kind of our support unit, our all-around like helping the party out unit, but she's also buffing up Balthier. And then Maeve, in the shift form, which is where she starts, she's got some fire immunity or fire resistance. And then otherwise just built for spirit. Has a ribbon. She's doing provoke. She's kind of geared for spirit, you know, whatever. Not that important. She doesn't take much damage. And then in the shift form, she's built for defense because she's going to be chaining with her bolting strike move to chain with Kaito's limit burst, practice swing. And then otherwise just built for defense and machine killer. Yeah, she's got 245 machine killer, you know. She's doing that. So let's get into the fight, and we'll do the fun way, and then we'll do the slower, not slower, it's a little slower, but the more budgety version of this fight. So to start us off, Maeve is already she's already covering. You can see that there, and she's in her shift form, so she's covering magic. She's going to use triple, and she's going to use Wild Barrier. Limitless Ferocity to boost LB gauge fill rate, and Effective Strategy to boost some resistances and stuff like that. On the first turn, the boss is doing AoE magic and status attacks. So really, we don't need to do needles, and we don't need to do Bar Firega, but we're gonna go ahead and do Bar Firega. That way, it's in place for later. Balthier is in a triple, and he's going to do Mischarge Water, Who Do You Think You're Talking To, and Aqua Shot. And Kaito is just going to triple, and he's going to do Aqueous Infusion, Mana Few Words, and Crashing Waves. There we go. Here come the magic attacks that Maeve's going to cover for us. Taking pretty minimal damage. You know, there we go. And we're immune to all statuses, so we don't take any hits from the status stuff. Pretty cool. On this turn, Maeve's just going to guard. Fran is just going to use needles, even though we really don't need it. We're imagining that we might need it on turn 3. Balthier is going to use Tyvus' Spirit. Kaito is going to downshift and use Pure Liquid Infusion to give everybody water, Swelling Current, or not Swelling Current, Receding Tide for Machine Killer, and then you could use any one of his attacks that you want to. We're just going to go ahead and use Cascading Slash. There we are. She's going to cover the magic, take very little damage because we're guarding, and now we're ready to burst this guy down. Fran is going to use her buff up ability. I'd say you're more of a supporting role for Balthier. He's going to shift and use Fires of War. There we go. Kaito is going to LB, and Maeve is going to downshift and use Triple Huntress, Practice Swing 3 times. So the way they don't chain perfectly, I'm going to send Balthier first, and then I'm going to send the chainers, and hopefully do a lot of damage. Here we go. Oh no, I didn't chain right. Doesn't matter. I must have messed up my buttons there. But they did a little bit of a chain. We still did 16.5 billion damage, and yeah, totally fine. If you had even chained that better, that would do even more damage. But obviously we did enough, and we used the mechanics of the fight, and we still killed it on turn 3. That would have been all missions. There we go. So that's that one. Before we go on to the next one, I want to double check and make sure we should be fine. We're going to go into the next one now. So that was, 3 turns, party of 4, no KOs. We completed the quest. Everything was fine. So that was with our really good team, our better team rather. And then here's our less good one. So we've got Yoshikiri here for his big LB buff and machine killer buffs and machine mitigation, which is very, very helpful. And then he also does some chaining and some water imbues and stuff like that. Squall is here just to do damage. He's geared for LB damage and machine killer and all the things you would hope for. Elena is here for a fire resistance buff as well as some mitigation and then chaining. It also does a sword in peril. And Seymour is here just to do the magic tanking. He is definitely not as good at this as Maeve is. He's also going to chip in a little bit of damage on the burst turn on turn 3, but he's really just here to soak up some damage. So let's take a look at the gear really fast. Yoshikiri is just kind of geared like so. He's got the Obsidian Bracer on to do the initial break because Squall does not break attack very easily. And then in shift form, he's just got more spirit and just kind of like this in both forms. BA start, of course, is his intrinsic, and he's got a Great Sword in Peril card for Squall. Here's Squall. He's got max True Double Hand, max LB, and max Machine Killer. However you get there is up to you. And there we are. He's also got Tyvus' Spirit, which is probably the most non-budget thing on this list. But Tyvus is a really old unit at this point, so yeah. And Laguna's a vision card, yeah, I know, but it's part of his build. So there you go. Elena in the base form is geared for, you know, some damage. She doesn't do a whole lot of damage anyway. She's really just chaining. Has some machine killer technically, and there she is. You know, whatever. And then in the shift form, she's just kind of geared for spirit and whatever. She does need immunity. Everybody's got immunity, and then she's going to be chaining. Seymour is built for fire, has immunity, has mitigation from Wisdom of Hess and Pure White Blessing and all the good stuff. And then this vision card. Now, this vision card I know is from a Neo Visions unit, but you could use one of your tickets to grab this vision card for free, one of your like unit select tickets that they've given out before, or you've gotten from premium tickets, so you can get this vision card without having Kresnik. Same with this one, you can get this vision card without having Kresnik. This is the least budget thing on this one other than Tyvus Spirit, but they have given this card out twice now, so maybe you've got it. Hopefully you've got it. Okay, and let's get into it. Same basic strategy, but the actions are a little bit different. In this one, Seymour is going to use his magic cover. I know he's already covering, but this gives him some mitigations. Yoshikiri is going to shift. The break's already in place, so we're good to go. He's going to wombo combo, and he's going to use his Hikiko Mori for triple cast unlocking, Feint Block for machine mitigation, and a Ninjutsu Jakuten for machine killer for everybody. And Squall is going to triple. He's going to use We Choose to Fight Back, Lion's Spirit, and Lion's Rise. Elena is going to just Luminous Speed and use Refragmentation and Protection of the Azure Crystal. That gives everybody fire resistance buff, as well as just some resistance to some other stuff. Notice Seymour takes quite a bit more damage. He doesn't do too badly, but he does take some damage. Yoshikiri on this turn is going to start us out with using BA start on Squall, and then a Water Scroll to do water for everybody, and Ninjutsu. This one, the chain a little bit. Elena's going to chain with him, and she's going to start by doing Piercing Prism, and then 2 Blades of Salvation to do that chaining. Squall's going to use Tyvus Spirit, and Seymour is going to use Death is a Sweet Slumber. That way he can contribute a little bit of damage on the burst turn. Alrighty, and then there we go. A little bit of damage, right? We are poisoned. Squall is not wearing full immunity. He's the only one who's not, but he is immune to confusion, which I really care about. He's immune to blindness, which I really care about. I don't really care about the poison because we are killing this thing pretty quickly. But the confusion is important. He comes with that naturally. Everybody else is wearing immunity, though. All right. Here we are. So we're going to use his SLB. Seymour is going to be using his SLB. It's not that much damage, but he's going to do it. Elena is going to piercing. Actually, we're going to do that in a different order. We're going to use Blade, Crystal, Piercing, because the modifiers are bigger at the end. And we are going to just triple the ninjutsu move here. And the timing of this, you have to kind of wait for Seymour to he's going to start his animation, and then he's gonna there's the Esper orbs are gonna come out of him as he's casting. That's when you want to send Squall, Yoshikiri, and Elena, and hopefully this this includes him in the cap. So you kind of have to wait it out, but this is where we're gonna do most of our damage. So hopefully here we go. Wait. Oh, how about that? We did it on turn 3, even better. So I did chain that better than I did before. If you had made it, if you had not done enough damage there, he was going to hit you with some fire attacks. And then if you survive that, which you should with that setup, I have survived it every time. once I got that setup in place. He will then hit you with the magic attacks and status attacks again on turn 4, and then you just chain with Yoshikiri and Elena and Squall using his like upgraded chaining skills. You just chain his Stardust Ray skills because they have a good modifier, and then that kills it on turn 4 and 5. You know, so on turn 4 and 5, you just kind of do that again, and you're good to go. But that's 2 ways of clearing this fight. Not too bad, really. I mean, obviously less damage, but we can still do it with that team. So there you have it. Hopefully that helps. If you aren't sure what to do, or if that doesn't help, let me know. Let me see if I can't help figure out what happened or where I went wrong, or what you might need. But I think between those 2, you should be able to figure something out. And just let us know in the comments if you can't. But in the next time we're here, we should be live on Saturday. But we'll see you in the next video, whatever that may be. I don't know, haven't figured it out yet. But for now, here's what we got, and we'll see you in whatever comes next. All right, take care.